Chapter 1. The Scavenger. In the sprawling, neon-lit metropolis of Zoreth 9, where skyscrapers pierced the clouds and hover cars zipped through the air like fireflies, life was not kind to everyone. Among the countless species that called this planet home, there was a young alien woman named Lyra. She belonged to the Kreln, a species known for their shimmering, iridescent skin and their ability to adapt to harsh environments. But even the Kreln had their limits, and Lyra had reached hers. Lyra was poor, living on the fringes of society. She spent her days scavenging through the trash heaps on the outskirts of the city, searching for anything that could sustain her. The trash heaps were a treasure trove of discarded items, from broken tech to half-eaten food. It was a hard life, but Lyra had no other choice. Her family had been wiped out in a plague that swept through the lower levels of the city, and she had been left to fend for herself. One evening, as the twin suns of Zoreth 9 dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the city, Lyra was rummaging through a particularly large heap of trash. Her stomach growled loudly, reminding her that she hadn't eaten in days. She pushed aside a broken hoverboard in a pile of discarded synth fabric, her eyes scanning for anything edible. That's when she saw it. A glint of metal caught her eye, and she reached out to grab it. It was a ring, unlike anything she had ever seen before. It was made of a strange, silvery metal that seemed to shimmer in the fading light. The ring was adorned with a large, multifaceted gem that seemed to glow with an inner light. Lyra's breath caught in her throat. She had never seen anything so beautiful. She slipped the ring onto her finger, marveling at how perfectly it fit. For a moment, she forgot about her hunger, her poverty, her loneliness. She felt a strange warmth spread through her body, as if the ring was imbuing her with some kind of power. But then reality came crashing back. She was still hungry, still poor, still alone. She needed to find food, not trinkets. She was about to take the ring off and toss it back into the trash when she heard a voice behind her. "That ring, where did you find it?" Lyra spun around, her heart pounding. Standing before her was a tall, imposing figure. He was a human, a rarity on Zoreth 9. His eyes were a piercing blue, and his face was etched with lines of worry. He was dressed in a sleek, black suit that marked him as someone of importance. Lyra took a step back, clutching the ring protectively. I found it here," she stammered, gesturing to the trash heap. "In the trash." The man's eyes widened in surprise. "In the trash?" he repeated, his voice filled with disbelief. "Do you have any idea what that ring is?" Lyra shook her head, her heart racing. She didn't know what to say. She had never been this close to a human before, and she didn't know what to expect. The man took a step closer, his eyes never leaving the ring. "That ring belongs to me," he said softly. "It's been in my family for generations. I thought I'd lost it forever." Lyra's mind raced. She didn't know what to do. She had found the ring, but it clearly meant something to this man. She didn't want to give it up, but she also didn't want to get into trouble. The man seemed to sense her hesitation. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button, and a holographic image appeared in the air between them. It was a picture of the ring, along with a description. "This ring is called the Ring of Destiny," the man explained. "It's said to have the power to bring two souls together, no matter how far apart they are. It's been passed down through my family for centuries, and it's the most precious thing I own." Lyra's eyes widened in awe. She had never heard of such a thing. The ring on her finger suddenly felt heavier, more significant. The man took a deep breath, his eyes softening. "I know you found it, and I can't just take it from you, but I'm willing to make a deal. If you give me the ring, I'll take you with me. I'll give you a better life, one where you don't have to scavenge through trash to survive." Lyra's heart skipped a beat. She didn't know what to say. She had never been offered anything like this before. She looked down at the ring, then back up at the man. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, the desperation. He really wanted this ring back. But more than that, he was offering her a way out, a chance to escape the life she had been living. She took a deep breath, her mind made up. She slipped the ring off her finger and held it out to him. "Take it," she said softly. "It's yours." The man's eyes filled with gratitude as he took the ring from her. He slipped it onto his finger, and for a moment, the world seemed to stand still. The ring glowed brightly, and a warm, golden light enveloped both of them. Lyra felt a strange sensation, as if something deep inside her had shifted. She looked up at the man, and for the first time, she noticed how handsome he was. His eyes were filled with a kindness she had never seen before, and his smile made her heart flutter. The man reached out and took her hand, his touch sending a shiver down her spine. "My name is Jackson," he said softly, "and I think you just changed my life." Lyra smiled, a warmth spreading through her chest. "I'm Lyra," she replied, "and I think you just changed Chapter
mine."
2, A New Life. Jackson kept his promise. He took Lyra with him, away from the trash heaps and into the heart of the city. He lived in a luxurious penthouse high above the bustling streets, with a view that took Lyra's breath away. She had never seen anything like it. Jackson introduced her to a world she had only dreamed of. He gave her new clothes, fed her delicious food, and showed her the wonders of the city. He even took her to a high-end salon, where they transformed her from a ragged scavenger into a radiant beauty. But more than that, Jackson treated her with kindness and respect. He listened to her stories, laughed at her jokes, and made her feel like she mattered. For the first time in her life, Lyra felt like she belonged. As the days turned into weeks, Lyra and Jackson grew closer. They spent hours talking, exploring the city, and learning about each other's worlds. Lyra learned that Jackson was a wealthy businessman, the CEO of a powerful corporation that specialized in advanced technology. He had everything he could ever want, but he had always felt like something was missing. And then he met Lyra. For Jackson, Lyra was a breath of fresh air. She was unlike anyone he had ever met. She was strong, resilient, and had a heart full of compassion. She had seen the worst of life, but she still had hope. She reminded him of what was truly important. And for Lyra, Jackson was a dream come true. He was kind, generous, and had a heart of gold. He had given her a new life, but more than that, he had given her love. One evening, as they stood on the balcony of Jackson's penthouse, watching the city lights twinkle below, Jackson turned to Lyra and took her hand. "Lyra," he said softly, his eyes filled with emotion, "I know we haven't known each other for long, but I feel like I've known you my whole life. You've brought so much joy into my life, and I can't imagine living without you." Lyra's heart skipped a beat as she looked into his eyes. She knew what he was going to say, and her heart swelled with love. Jackson got down on one knee and pulled out the ring of destiny. "Lyra, will you marry me?" Tears filled Lyra's eyes as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I will." Jackson slipped the ring onto her finger, and once again, the world seemed to stand still. The ring glowed brightly, and a warm, golden light enveloped them both. In that moment, Lyra knew that she had found her destiny. She had gone from scavenging through trash to finding the love of her life. And she knew that no matter what the future held, she would always be grateful for the day she found the ring of destiny. Chapter 3, Happily Ever After. Lyra and Jackson's wedding was a grand affair attended by the elite of Zoreth 9. It was a celebration of love, of hope, and of the power of destiny. Lyra looked radiant in a gown made of shimmering synth fabric, and Jackson was dashing in a sleek black suit. As they exchanged vows, the ring of destiny glowed brightly, a symbol of the love that had brought them together. And as they kissed, the crowd erupted into cheers, celebrating the union of two souls that had been destined to find each other. After the wedding, Lyra and Jackson embarked on a new life together. They traveled the galaxy, exploring new worlds and experiencing new adventures. But no matter where they went, they always carried the ring of destiny with them, a reminder of the love that had brought them together. And as they looked out at the stars, hand in hand, they knew that they had found their happily ever after.